Hey guys, good morning and welcome to Rich and Remote. Today is very special. This week, actually, we are celebrating Social Media Day. That is specifically today. But this entire week, I will be posting a lot of new guides, new things. I'm gonna have my 2026 version of how to go viral on Facebook. I did an experiment this June, actually this whole month, if I could get to 1 million organic impressions. And I did, yay! So I'm still in the game. I still got it. And I'm so excited to share everything that I found out because Facebook is my playground. But actually, I know someone who's had social media as her playground for a very, very long time. She's our guest today, one of my besties, Kate Buck Jr. She is one of the social media OGs. If you asked a lot of eight-figure brands, in the hush hush behind the scenes, who has helped them, who has worked with them one to one, and who has given them specific insight and really good advice when it comes to social media. Kate published her book, her famous book, was it Let's Get Social?
First course, yeah, in 2010.
2010, you guys. Like, I didn't even have boobs then, and I still don't have boobs right now,
Yeah,
but we're
most of
still
you
waiting on
listening
that.
were still in junior high, but
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. So, Kate, how are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for inviting me to come and celebrate Social Media Day with you. Since we're talking about Social Media Day and how old I am, just in case you guys didn't know and you haven't been on the internet for a decade and a half, we celebrated the very first Social Media Day in 2010 as well. If you're not familiar with the blog Mashable,
Wow.
it was their brainchild, and they came up with the idea of Social Media Day. So we had the very first one in 2010, and actually I was a big part of that. Mashable reached out to a company that I had started with a friend back then called Tech Karaoke, and we threw
Wow.
these big karaoke parties for nerds. People on Twitter would get together and sing karaoke, and we would live stream it. And then we would also have like a screen where the tweets were being streamed so you could see what people were tweeting and people could, by following along with a hashtag. So Social Media Day is very near and dear to my heart. I have celebrated it almost every year since, either by speaking in somebody else's conference or for the last 6 or so years, my company, Social Media Pro, has hosted a virtual summit celebration educational training day. And so this year I'm taking a break from doing that. Social Media Pro is not participating, but thankfully I have the bestest friends in the entire world. And Carla is taking the reins this year and celebrating. So I appreciate you inviting me to come and take part of something that's kind of like a bit of a birthday for me, like a
Right.
career birthday, career anniversary, if we will.
Right.
Because honestly, actually, Social Media Pro launched in June 2010 and Social Media Day launched in June 2010. So I had already been on the internet for a few years. Before that, I was already a big deal. But anyways, Social Media Day is near and dear to my heart. So thanks, Carla, for running with it this year.
Oh, for sure. And as you also know, like in a way, we met through social media. We
Hmm.
have started to kind of get to know before we even met in person, IRL. We kind of like followed each other on social media, liked each other's posts, comment on each other's posts before we we had our IRL meetup where she forced me to eat vegan food. But that's a story for another
Another
day.
day. Can I just tell you that this little orb right here is just driving me bananas? And so I had like moved my, there we go. See, it's just coming in and out of my
Oh, it's
head.
the
It's so
aliens. And
weird.
again,
Yeah, there's
French
some,
fries.
I don't know what's happening there, but if you see me moving around and being weird, it's because I'm trying to cover that up. So it's not annoying to you.
Some social media expert here.
Yeah.
Trying to avoid an orb behind her. But yeah, so also Kate's you guys should check out her courses, Social Media Pro. It's the only course that I let my managers use when I hire social media managers in my company, Proximity Outsourcing. We follow what she teaches. It's been really effective for our clients, for me, and I'm gonna share what has surprised me about what my clients are doing. So you guys are actually going to get like the behind the scenes on what people are paying for right now in terms of social media, what is effective for a lot of like personal brands also specifically. And but very quickly, I know Kate, social media is a big part of your life, social as it is a big part of my life and my business. So can you share with me very quickly or in a nutshell, what is the biggest benefit of being a big deal on social media or having the right people follow you on social media?
Yeah. So I still, like for instance, I've had a couple people come to me recently, clients recently, and everybody knows that they should be active on social, but then they're not. Like a lot of us, even though I work on social media, I understand the downsides of it, and I don't always want to be there myself either, right? And so what happens is that what I think happens is that like the biggest benefit or the biggest reason is like it's one of the main ways, or if not the main and only way to really reach people with especially without paying for it, right? So there's
Right.
three ways to reach people, so people become aware of you
Hmm.
and the products and services that you provide. You either build it, which is organic social media, and there's so many opportunities to do that, from YouTube to Instagram to TikTok, Twitter. I mean, LinkedIn, each of these platforms are thriving and growing. And so, why would you not want to take advantage of that? The second is to borrow, which also includes social media, because that is collabing with people. Something like this, Carla and I are posting this, we're tagging each other. My
Right.
audience is learning about Carla. They know who she is, but you guys know who she is. And Carla's audience is learning about me. So, collaboration and joint ventures are a way to grow your audience by getting exposure to somebody else's audience. And there's so many ways to do that as well. And then the third way is to buy it. And this is running ads. And where better to run ads than on social media? So there are plenty of other ways to acquire new customers. There's
Mhm.
SEO, so people finding you organically in search and LLM. But honestly, more and more of those social signals every single day are tied into social media, because it is the number one place when people wake up and
Mhm.
look at their phone. The first thing they're doing is seeing their notifications and going to social media for the most part. I don't think that's the healthiest thing in the world to do, but that is what most of the world is doing. So if that's the case and that's where people are hanging out, that's where eyeballs are. Why
Right.
would you not center that as part of your business and make that the focal point? The last thing I'll say about that is I have worked with some of the biggest influencers, and recently I've worked with big influencers who are in that same resistance that I talked about at the beginning. And what's happened is there are people who have come and surpassed them, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
get a little edge about that. Like you get a little resentful or something, that like some new kid on the block. Look at someone like Cody Sanchez. I remember in 2020, 2021, Cody Sanchez came to speak at a conference for one of my clients, and no one knew who she was at all. And look at her now. She's on the Forbes top 10 most influential influencers of 2026 or whatever. So if you look at that, and then you could go, wait, anybody can do that. So the people
Right.
who resist social media, content marketing, creating content, teaching, sharing, blah blah blah, because they want to focus on their business, they want to focus on other things. They're missing the boat, and other people are taking advantage of it, of the opportunity, and growing beyond. And this stuff, you guys, I don't know if you've noticed, but like this is crossing over into huge brand deals. I saw something this week, just this past week, where the Hermosis just signed a deal with a huge LA talent agency. And
Yes.
it's probably for a reality TV show or something like that is in the works. Why? Because their audience and their reach is further than some of the celebrities.
Yeah.
They have more influence, more reach, more influence than, I know I said that word a few times, than people who are very well known. So if you and these eyeballs are what, if you can control or whatever, right? This is where you can direct them to your products, blah blah blah, and your offers. So becoming a thought leader, becoming internet famous, becoming an influencer, I think it's pretty unavoidable these days if you're trying to sell anything.
Yeah. If you have an online business, it's definitely going to give you a huge advantage if you are investing a lot of time and you master a particular social media platform. And I always say there's something for everyone. Like I met someone actually recently who I was not very impressed by her at first. She was introduced to me and I wasn't very impressed because I was like, "Oh, she doesn't seem very smart." Or and then I looked at her socials and she didn't have a lot of following. But then my friend was like, "No, she's a very smart girl. She has like a huge following." And I was like, "Where? Where?" Turns out she has 42,000 paid subscribers on Substack. And they pay like $7 a month or something. Insane, right? 42,000. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." That is insane. And so there's something for everyone. When Kate and I say like post on social media, it doesn't mean you're dancing on TikTok or posting long form or you're fighting people on X. There's many, many ways. Like Rachel Peterson, she blew up on TikTok. And then we have some friends who are really good at like Pinterest or, like one other thing. Like
And
Facebook, yeah.
honestly, micro influencers sometimes, like you're saying, like in 42,000. I mean, it's like I just mentioned the Hermosis and Cody Sanchez, right? These are
Right.
huge
Millions. Yeah.
things, but you can make a really good living online with a small audience, 1,000 subscribers, 2,000 subscribers. I was just talking yesterday to someone who really only has like 10 to 20,000 followers or subscribers on YouTube, and she's getting like $30,000 brand deals. Why? Because actually micro influencers, the percent engagement, like no
The
offense, Carla, but you
loyalty.
know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
consider you a niche, like a micro influencer. Like you have a very focused following. You're not, I mean, in my world, you're a celebrity, but you know what I'm saying? But your engagement is really, really high. The bigger you get, that engagement drops. And so brands
Sure.
really love working with micro influencers. And so if you become really well known in your niche, you can have a small following and you can have it on any platform. Like she's saying, it can be on Substack. Every time I hear somebody doing something like, oh, they're just monetizing their Twitch or whatever, like it's
Right.
like I'm doing the internet wrong, maybe, because there's so many places, there's so many corners, there's so many. I have somebody who's doing really well. They have a Discord community, right? And
Right.
they're like, our
Yeah.
Discord community is so active, and it's like
Yeah.
there's just a buffet of choices when it comes to what we're called, what is called social media these days, that you can find the one that kind of fits your personality. Because
Yeah.
a lot of times we are, if you're, especially if you're a subject matter expert like me, you taught yourself something, you learned something, and you transformed, and now you're teaching it. So you kind of are your formerly, the old you is your new client, right? So if
Right.
it fits for you, then likely that audience is going to like it as well. So just find a place where you can get some traction
Yeah.
and grow from there. Yeah.
Yeah, follow your curiosity. Like what are the, don't make it feel like a job, because it can be really fun. Like I'm experimenting on a few things right now. I can't wait to share with you also, Kate, that I haven't told you because we haven't talked in a while. We've
Yeah,
been
I'm
so
excited.
busy. But yeah, let's talk about trends and what's coming in 2026. Kate and I are going to share our predictions as if we're that important.
Yeah.
And then we're going to share our insights as people who've done social media for a very long time and people who run other people's social media as well. So, what's top of your mind, Kate? What are you seeing that's standing out in 2026?
So I was talking about this even in 2025. There's a bit of like a renaissance to long form happening, I think. I know that I have even had friends that never really like appreciated or don't really have a taste or a preference, I guess is the right word, for short form
Mm,
video content.
yeah,
I actually was a late comer to the short form content trend because I like to go deeper on stuff rather than wide. So I'd rather even like skim through a YouTube video, a long form YouTube video, and get more information. I do like shorts, the enjoyable, funny ones. You should see our Insta DM with what I'm saying. You would be like, well, you don't watch short form. I mostly watch the short form that Carla sends me
because it's curated.
because it's curated just for me. Exactly. Carla is my algorithm. But anyways, it's just a renaissance, I think, to long form content and good long form content. I think there are people who are readers and who are long
Mm,
form content consumers. Like my business partner Wednesday, she was never really got into short form. She is a reader. She has had a book
yes,
club for like 20 years or something like that. She is a book club type person. And so now with AI, blogs are back, which is great. So there's long form readership, long form YouTube videos, people grabbing the transcripts or whatever. So one of the things that I see is, and have seen for a little bit more than a year or so now, is this. I'm calling it a renaissance, like where people are going back to like what I like real content. Not that short
right.
form isn't real content, but this snackable, digestible, like Twitch inducing, doom scroll short form. I think it's thriving. I can't say that it's not, but I do see that there is a swing towards people consuming meatier, juicier, deeper, even like TV shows and stuff getting produced on YouTube. Like people are just, I think anyway, for myself, I'm craving depth,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
think other people are too.
I definitely feel that as well. Once again, I may also have a bias because I'm a reader, but
Mm-hmm.
my latest obsession actually is I signed up for the New Yorker, which is a really, really good like magazine platform, and they have just like real journalism. It brought me back to the time when I was like younger and I was reading Reader's Digest like all the time, and there's just this abundance of really good stories. I've been reading this story now about like super yachts and how it reflects like the sale of super yachts and how it reflects like the wealth gap. And I've been reading this article for I think 4 days now. It's a very long
Long
article.
article.
Yeah, I would read it like before I go to sleep. The last big article I read was a 12,000 word report on Andrew Tate and his rise in social media and blah, 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 blah. So it was so fascinating, but I can definitely feel what you're saying about like people are craving depth and connection and stories. We're looking for stories that really resonate with us because of the AI slop and the short form exhaustion. I think people are looking for like calmer content that are more that they can maybe watch to like regulate their nervous system, if that makes sense. If that makes
Yes.
sense, yeah. And I can see it now. Like literally this month, June 2026, we have hired probably 10 video editors for our clients. I'm not kidding. One of our clients hired two full-time video editors this month. Like everyone is really investing into YouTube or in any form of like long form production. Podcasts, long podcasts are definitely in. It has never been out, in my opinion, but it's a good way to. I always say this sounds bad when I say it out loud, but one of the best ways to make money from your audience is to build a parasocial relationship with them, right? And I think the long form content is definitely the best way to do that.
One last point on this before we move on is I think one thing that people miss, like where I'm saying there's this swing back to readers, is that actually the most affluent clients kind of always were. And
True,
it's there
true.
is a there you know, I'm not trying to put anybody down if you're into to shorts, but if you think about if you're targeting CEOs, wealthy individuals, uh, high level executives in a company. I mean, trying to figure out where do they hang out on social. It's not that like everybody doesn't have a little TikTok addiction or a little short form like guilty pleasure, doom scrolling on a whatever. You can reach people there and you do reach people there, but more and more. I'll make one more point about this. Our mutual friend and my former client, Kayala,
Hmm.
posted something the other day, and he and I had a conversation about it. Where this is kind of funny thing to say in this context is that at some point in time, social media will be known as the smoking of our generation. And there actually is some data behind that because recently Instagram was sued by a woman whose daughter developed a an eating disorder that was caused by being exposed to Instagram at a young age. And through the process of that court case, Instagram was found liable. And I made a bunch of jokes about that. But then he pointed out to me that I didn't read far enough into the article because I was aware of this happening, was that they were actually found liable with malice, which means they knew that it was bad and they didn't do things for people, for humans, and they didn't do anything to stop it, which is the same thing that the cigarette companies were found liable with malice,
Hmm.
intent for the way that they were producing and marketing cigarettes. So
Yeah,
the reality is that this social media consumption, you really have to be your own moderator and your own regulator. And there are a lot of people who have, very and smart, wealthy, whatever intellectual individuals who have figured this out, that it is more of an energy suck than using it or they've figured out how to use it constructively, aka where I come in or you come in, where they hire outsourcers and teams to help their business and their products be on social without them actually being the ones, to be there. So I just point that out to say that this thing that we're talking about long form content, about slower paced content, about deeper, richer content is not going to, this isn't like a fad, or we're not making this up, or whatever. It's that as people get smarter and they realize they want to be the creators of their lives and not consumers, is that they are, these types of people are the ones that are moving towards this content. And for sure, like you're saying, with the age of AI, short form content, gimmicky content, clickbaity content is just going to get worse because it's so much
yeah,
easier to create. Is that in order to stand out, you are going to have to demonstrate your expertise. You are going to have to back your sources with data. You are
yeah,
going to have to, like, this is not something that's going to change. So I just wanted to kind of put a nail
yeah.
in
No, for
that
sure.
one, is that, you have to be here and you should be using it, but at the same time, like, know that like it is a commitment, and long form is here. But especially if you want to reach wealthier, more affluent audiences, you're gonna have to try harder basically than just short form AI slop stuff.
Yeah, no, for me, I limit my AI use in processes in for me in like producing and multiplying my content, like what you teach, multiplying like one video content, multiplying the output from that. but I don't think I will ever. I actually paid a company to do like an AI avatar. They
Sure.
produce AI reels for me. They were pretty good, but I didn't like it. And to be honest, because of what I learned also from our friend Ryan McGinn, who is one of the best experts in short form,
In short
is
form,
that
yeah.
it doesn't really take a lot to make one reel anyway. Like I tried doing it. It takes me like less than 10 minutes to make one. So if I'm gonna have to prompt my AI avatar and then load the script in 11 labs and then tie it all together, if that whole process is gonna take me 10 minutes, I'd rather create the human version. It's much, much easier. And so that
You're
leads
really
me,
pointing to point number two, which
yeah,
is, yeah,
exactly.
exactly. You're right there, which is in addition that human-led content is a differentiator. Now, that's not to say because I follow Onyx Singal, who's a colleague of ours, another mutual
Yes.
contact who's an expert in the space, and Alicia Little, a few other people who are leading in teaching AI clone and
Yes.
creation. And Onyx has a video with over 10 million views by his clone. He's done 100 million views total with his clone kind of thing. And I totally get and understand where he's coming from with that. And I'm not saying that that's not the right answer for
Hmm.
certain people.
Yeah.
Again, I'm just reminding us that there is like a pocket of people who can, detect that it's an AI really quickly and that it's an automatic turn off. It's kind of like, again, this idea of a renaissance or like a resistance is that, some of us don't want to be on social media to talk to watch content or to consume content from a bot or a clone from an AI. So I do think that like really authentic content. It's not like you said. It's not that I'm saying that you don't use AI in the process.
Yeah.
I use AI every day. I'm forcing myself to use AI in everything that I do.
Yeah.
I like automations and workflows, but these things for me work as inspiration. They work as a magnification of what I'm doing, validation, sometimes research, all of these pieces, but it is not end to end. I spent a lot of time this week doing a podcast strategy for a client, and I was really trying to take my former SOPs and just literally give it to AI. And what it came up with was there was just this little nagging thing at me where it was not right and I
Yeah.
didn't like it. And so I did keep pushing forward with AI and pushing back on it until I did get something. And finally, at the end, it's like, let's go with your instinct. And I'm like, yes, because you are a prediction engine just as much as I am. But I also, I feel like this is on point as a place to start. So I do think that the human instinct, the human gut, the human intelligence, the human brain, the human heart, the human voice,
Hmm.
it's so much warmer and inviting and gives people something to connect with. And I am one of those people that's really afraid that we're going to live in the metaverse with all of our AI avatars talking to each other. And I mean, maybe that means then we can all go meditate with the trees all day long and not have
Right.
to work anymore. But
Right.
I don't know. The future is interesting. But
Yeah.
I want to watch content from my fellow humans. I don't like watching AI content.
For sure. And I think that's why I think also you want to be intentional with your content and you want it you your content has an effect on the viewer or the audience. And I always say this, is your content worth their time, the resource that they can't get back, right? So I always think about that. Like, yes, I post a lot, but every single piece I post, it is a reflection of me. It is something that when I pass this earth, like I'm proud that it's out there, right? Maybe some of them weren't, but that's why I go on my Facebook memories and delete my embarrassing posts from 2010. But you know what I mean? Like, I think that
I
right
don't
now,
delete mine, so I definitely know what you mean. There have been at least four Kates since then, and those things are going to live forever on the internet. Luckily, no one will be looking for them. So,
yeah,
yeah.
I meaningfully like clean up I clean up my tracks. But yeah, another thing I'm noticing from my clients is there are certain things that they don't want to um, that they want to keep human. And actually, a lot of people are surprised to hear how companies like mine, like outsourcing companies, they've always thought that we are the ones that AI is going to, kill or something. But actually, we've never been busier because first, we don't really hire like low level people, assistant type people. We hire smart managers. And so now the output is more. But another thing in the workplace is people still want to work with humans. People still want to work with other humans. People enjoy being with other humans. When my coworkers and I meet up in real life, or when we have this monthly, we call it sip and sync in our team, where we don't talk about work. We just hang out on Zoom, and then our HR prepares like some prompts that are like more, more human, like share your favorite childhood memory or who was your first crush, and we just like laugh at each other, and we love it. We always look forward to that session. So I think that once again, because of the AI slop, right? Because of the exhaustion, really, I think that people are just craving that human connection, and we are going to follow more creators or more social media influencers that are more human. And last thing, if you guys have noticed, Mr. Beast, right? One of the biggest social media influencers out there. If you look at his content now, he's moving into doing reality type shows.
Mm-hmm.
So he used to do like these high dopamine, high effect, sound effect, bombshell videos, but now he's doing more stories, more human stories. I think he's doing some sort of a dating slash survivor show.
Yeah, exactly. I actually think he is the biggest influencer on Earth. And speaking back to the Forbes list, although
Mm.
interestingly enough, the Hormozis were not on there, which I thought was
Some
bizarre.
people pay Forbes to not be on the list. So
Maybe.
maybe. Yes, I
That
heard
sounds
about
like
that.
something Hormozi would do. Not that I'm trying to make this a thing, but yeah, I mean, Mr. Beast has uh I don't know how I do know how I know this, but can't has got food in retail stores and yeah, moving into the entertainment industry with reality TV shows and all of that stuff. I even really thought about how like on Netflix the trend for a documentary is 3 episodes now versus like
Yes, I
one
saw
1 hour
that.
thing. It's like people want more depth with the stories and to understand the nuances and all of
Yeah.
that. So I definitely think that you should show up for your content. I mean, I don't want to buy from somebody that's too busy to create content
Right.
for me, but I know I'm a judgy bee about social media, right? Because I work here, and that's not necessarily true of your audience. So you can't take what I'm saying. You've got to go do your own, your own research. But I hear you. I think it was even potentially Cody who also posted and kind of confirmed what you're saying is that I think right now people are in such AI like overwhelm. Like there's so
Mhm.
many tools and they all do kind of the same thing, but different things. And if you don't really know how to get what you want specifically out of AI, you could spend a lot of time, if not even the same amount of time, if not more time, than it would have taken you to do something on your own. And I do think that that points to that and this preference for like having a human. Now there is a whole world of course our geeky techie friends who just want to talk to their Hermes or whatever. It's not Hermes, which I can't think about you every time I see it, but like their Herm whatever
Yeah, they
in
make it sound like herpes, but with an M.
yeah, Hermes or whatever in their what's it called
Yeah, in their
Telegram
chat.
and
Yeah.
instructing and blah blah blah, like having their little her or like Justin Brook, a friend of mine, he's got a whole marketing team and he just instructs with them what to do with his little thing. That's fine, but like I would love to have some of that so that I can augment my team. But I love mentoring, I love coaching, I love being a leader on my team, and I like having people that are empowered by AI. But I still want a human brain signing off, doing the QA, like feeling with their heart, does this feel like it's the right thing to do? Making those judgment calls, and like AI doesn't have that lifeline heartbeat. That is not to say, because I'm sitting here, Travis is right behind me, and he's clotting 24/7. So I think he would maybe disagree with some of my points here, but I do think that yeah. And what I saw in that post, or what she said, which made a lot of sense, um, is that the amount of time that people are spending sort of like onboarding and figuring themselves out, if you're not like a data nerd, prompting, techno, blah, blah, blah person, is that you're actually spending more time. And so you'd rather just find
Do
an
it.
offshore
Yeah.
outsource versus taking those jobs away from outsourcing and giving them to AI. And I could totally see that as well. So,
Yeah, one thing I would share as someone who hires AI fluent people, AI fluent managers, I we test them mostly for two things. It's critical thinking and abstract reasoning. I think those are the two skills that are really needed with AI. I tell most of my clients that the people who are AI experts or call themselves AI experts, they're just early adapters, but they may rank higher in like critical thinking and abstract reasoning. And if you guys look what these two things are and what they when you test for them, what the importance of that is, if you have those two intelligences, you're going to be an easy AI expert. You can learn anything in an afternoon, let me tell you, because that's how smart AI is. Like you can tell it with what you know what you want, but if you can communicate intelligently and ask intelligent questions, if you have high abstract reasoning, meaning you can see patterns, you can figure out a problem without like fast, even if you've never done it before. Like that's the simplest way I could explain abstract reasoning, then it's not gonna be that hard, you know.
Yeah.
It's not really gonna be that hard. So
So
don't
well
get
said,
into
Carla.
yeah.
So well said. She's way smarter than me, so
No, I
in
just
both of those two
ChatGPT those
areas.
words after before. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
But
did you chat GPT that? Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Okay.
how do I sound smart in this podcast?
That's really funny. Last night, we were talking about we said some we were doing this turn thing, and then there's the thing about like centrifugal force and centripetal force, and one of them is a word but it's made up, it's not actually true. The idea that you feel like you're being pulled outside of a circle when the reality is you're actually being pulled, you're traveling in a straight line, and then when you make a turn you're actually being pulled to the inside, but you feel your body feels like it's outside. Anyways, I can't remember centripetal, or I think centripetal is the real is what people say,
Yeah.
but it's centrifugal or vice versa. Anyways, I tried to do like one of those little trivia things where I brought that up, like, oh, that's the made up one. The real one is this. That's just, and then uh, Travis actually kept asking me questions about it, and I was like, wait a minute, I don't, I
You
just,
need more tokens, bro.
yeah, exactly, yeah, you have run out of tokens. Here cannot answer until 4 a.m. You know, like next
You
answer
need
coming at
GPT.
4
Yeah,
a.m. No more
exactly.
prompting. I'm like, wait, no, I just wanted this to be a cute thing where I knew something smart, and then I couldn't actually give the facts without looking. The other funny thing is, while we're on this note of just like funny AI stuff, is like the other thing I think about is like, do you remember when we were kids and you had a question like that about something and you just had to wonder,
Yeah.
like even pre-Google, like what did we?
Yeah.
You just had to like be curious and have an
Yeah.
open-ended question that you had no way to find out the answer to. I think about that all the time. I'm like, wow, that I don't even remember those days really anymore. They're so long ago where you just had to wonder what's the answer or ask someone
Yeah.
else.
Interesting.
So
You know,
archaic to wonder.
I think I think that's why a lot of people have such high anxiety because they can't sit with wonder
Mhm.
comfortably. You know, I think depression and anxiety is high right now. I don't know. Maybe we're just
Yeah, it
hearing more
is.
about it because of social media. But before, we were just comfortable.
No,
I
social
remember this
media, it we're not just because of social media. Was what I was saying earlier, is they are purposefully fucking with the algorithm.
his
They
mallet.
I'm not saying this as a conspiracy theorist anymore. Like
Yeah,
literally has been proven in a court of law
yeah,
that they are fucking with us. So 100%.
for sure. And I think that also like leads to this other point that come up with our research, which is a lot of people invest a lot of time in virality, you know, me included, in terms of like experimenting with content and top of funnel eyeballs. But the huge thing that has never really failed in building businesses through social media is community, right? So I think that it's I think that a lot of creators have only been chasing like virality and not
Yes.
like build purposeful communities. And because of that, they are always scrambling for their next round of buyers.
Yeah.
There's no like
Well, you think about the idea, virality is about reach to new people and going, viral to communities that you never have, versus community building is about, well, it's kind of like the next step. Like what happens after that? Like virality is great to reach new eyeballs, but if you're constantly focused on that, then you're not, and not about indoctrinating those people and creating a community once people do know about you, then
yeah,
it's just like our some of our former colleagues who are constantly focused on bringing and getting a new lead, new leads,
yeah,
new leads, new leads, new leads, but then they don't care about people after the opt-in or after the sale, right? They don't deliver good products. They don't take care of their customers. Then you're constantly looking for, you're paying, spending money on ads or creating new content to bring new people in, when it's like, if you just gave a crap about the people that you already had, um, you know, um, Jay Abraham's 3 by 3 by 3 is like 3 times as many customers, but it's also getting them to spend 3 times as much money when they make a purchase and getting them to purchase 3 times as often with you, which means we're talking about repeat customers. We're talking about people who appreciate your product. So like community building, the experience that people have once they do know about you, everybody's heard know, like, and trust, and I call it grow, engage, invite in the world of social. And so growing your audience, going viral is actually probably one of the things that I think some creators think negatively on. Business owners, subject matter experts, right? They're like, oh, I would rather quality than blah, blah, blah. And so they have this other like kind of flipped of what we're saying right now. And I actually have to teach them that like, no, if you want new people to come and learn from you, you have to go viral. That's the
Yeah.
algorithm. That's
New
how you
eyeballs.
meet new
Yeah.
people. You have to have more non-followers watching your content than followers. But then there's this, you know, then nurture them, then teach them, then give them the content, then help them, then support them, then guide them, then engage with them, then, you know, all of that stuff so they get to know you and they like you and they trust you because then they'll be the ones asking you if you have a product for them or if you have a program for them or if you can get on a call with them or, you know, they'll go searching for your content. But then there's this in the other world, especially in the influencer world that we talk about, where like they don't have a product, they're not business owners, they're just content creators, and that's all that they're focused on is they just keep focusing on this viral, 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 and then there's no substance, right? And
Yeah.
unfortunately, and actually what I teach in my Content Manager Pro program is the fact that these are the people that you are competing with as a business owner, as someone who has something of value to give. You are competing with these people who are masters of going viral. They are consuming all of the space in the algorithm, all of the timeline space. You're not, I'm Carla, you don't compete on social media against another outsourcing agency. That is not your competitor when it comes to social media. It is every other person who's creating content
Exactly.
that your audience wants to
Yeah.
see. These are the relationship experts and the
Exactly.
joke people and the meme people and the
Yep.
news people and blah blah blah. All the viral content creators, they are consuming up all of the placements, right?
Right.
And so in order for you to compete, you have got to get some placements, which means you do have to go viral. And so there is like a time where you should have a relentless focus on learning the mechanics of going viral. But
Exactly.
if you just stay there, then you never build anything of substance. You have to move down the funnel into the next place, which is okay, of this huge top of funnel 10,000 people or whatever, 100 people, however, 1,000 people see my video. Who are the 2 or 3 people in there that are, or the 10 people, 10% of those people going to stay, join my community, listen, care what I have to say, blah, blah, blah. And of those 10 or whatever, 10 or 15, 20, whatever it is, 1 to 5 of those people are actually going to become a lead, become a client, blah, 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 blah. So, you know, unfortunately, we have to be doing all of these things at the same time. You should be releasing content that is intended to go viral. You need to be releasing content that is intended to nurture, to indoctrinate, whatever. And you have to be releasing content to give calls to action and invite people into your community. So, you know, as long as your content is focused on one of those 3 things, it's like what we're talking about here is not getting stuck
Yeah.
in one. And actually, sorry, Ryan, if you're listening to this, you know, Ryan, that's something that he struggled with in the beginning for his own content is he's really good at short form. He's masterful at it. He created the game, but he didn't know what else to do beyond that. And he's made some shifts more recently as
Hmm.
he's building his brand to finally do some more long form, do some depth, and give people a reason to follow him
Hmm.
other than just to, you know, just because he's masterful at making these viral videos. So it's easy to kind of get stuck in that loop um, if you don't understand that all 3 things, growth and virality, need to exist, depth and nurturing and engagement need to exist, and invitations need
Right.
to exist. The best videos and the ones that you see people using over and over and over again, they do all 3 at the same time. They go viral, they reach new people, they make them feel welcome and indoctrinated, and they potentially push them to a product or service. That's kind of like the holy grail.
Exactly. Yeah. For me, my small formula is attention and then proof and connection, right? Because like if you really have new people, now you got them curious, and then if you get them to trust you with proof, and then they feel connected with you, you versus the differentiator, you versus another outsourcing company, you versus another social media consultant, and then that makes them want to buy. And of course, if your offers make sense and if your offer is designed in a very good way, you don't need a lot to make like 7 figures a year, really. Kevin Kelly, right, taught the famous 1,000 true fans concept. And even for me, for my business, my average ticket is 1,500 a month. I only really need 60 people paying me that money to get like a month to get to 7 figures a year, right? So of course there's nuances. There's nuances in, like how about your attrition? How about this and that? And like paying your affiliates, of course. But if you also are able to, if you hit a winning offer, and you know how to go viral, how to get that connection, how to post proof, it's going to be very hard to fail,
Yeah.
especially if you have like this next point that I want to share, which is like authority over aesthetics. So, which I think is huge for service-based businesses because, like what you shared earlier, Kate, people are thinking again, people are reading again, people are more discriminating with the content that they consume. Plus, all of these people talking to you about, social media dysregulate, nervous system dysregulation when you consume so much social media. So people are more choosy with the content that they're consuming. So it's not really just about having a massive following, but if you deliver authority, clarity, consistent visibility, I think it's going to be very hard to fail. Once again, you're going to win, like for sure.
I agree. And one of the things that is important right now is, content is still fairly, like the feeds move very quickly
Hmm.
still.
Hmm.
And so, a- and also I think people are a bit in flux. The point that I really want to make here is that I get clients that get stuck in production and it takes them a long time and they spend a lot of money producing a piece of content that we don't even know if that, I predict and I put a plan together and there's keyword research on it or whatever, but you're learning and optimizing as you go. And the time and energy that you should put into producing of a piece of content that is aesthetically perfect, that has a high level of production quality it should be one that works, right? Like the internet is so finicky these days. So you need to think about most of your content that you're putting out as a bit like disposable, like Kleenex, right? But then when you find one that hits and works, that's when you want to, or like a theme or a trend or a structure or a something that is working for you. Like not that is kind of like that holy grail one, right? Like when I find a piece of content that is helping me get new audiences or it's doing really good at driving people to my landing page. Okay, this is a piece of content that I want to now go deep with and really invest in the production of and is worthy of time and energy. Otherwise, content production is Groundhog's Day. Every single day, you got to wake up, you got to have content out, at least for your team, right? Even if you're, as the founder, batching content, it's Groundhog's Day, it's Groundhog's Week. You put it on a podcast, you put out your YouTube video, you put out the shorts that promote it, you put out some other engaging content, blah, blah, blah. Guess what happens next Monday morning? You got to put out your podcast, you got to put out, you know what I mean, or whatever production schedule that you're on. So people that get caught up in the aesthetics, that every little thing has to be
Hmm.
perfect. My little orb over here, if I was like, oh, Carla, you can't post this because I'm dealing with this stupid orb, or the fact that I don't really like how my head is shaved over on this spot or whatever by the way the thing is going, then it's like paralysis. Like, first of all, it takes you too long to put content out. You never put it out. It's really expensive. And ultimately, you're headed for a place where you are going to decide. And I can say this definitively because I have been in this space and I've worked with every client type on the face of the planet. Definitively, you will start telling me that this doesn't work. And it's like, well, it doesn't work because we can't produce content fast enough. It's like the Ryan's speed to post. It really doesn't take all that long for me to explain to somebody what a yap is and that you literally just pick up your phone, record yourself saying something and post it. And it takes about 5 minutes or less. It's like, no, everyone thinks that I have to research. I have to use AI. I have to get a studio. I have to have a perfect microphone. I mean, yes, at some point, all these things do matter. But until you have found something that is working, then it's worth investing in because it's going to be a more long-term like content vehicle for you. But your everyday posting, your podcast, your whatever, until it's working, until it hits, you are in testing mode. And then speed to post, speed to execute is the key, because you want to test as many things as you possibly
Yeah.
can so that you can get to that thing, the title that works, the playlist that works, the pillar that works, the keywords that work, the theme that works, whatever it is. And you won't know that until you
Feedback.
need views, you need
Yeah.
impressions. You've got to
Yeah.
hit like a critical threshold of that before you have enough data to make
Exactly.
decisions. Most of you are pulling the plug on something and you've done 3 episodes of your podcast and it's cost you $100 an episode or whatever. And you're like, this isn't, and 4 hours of your time and you're like,
Yeah.
didn't get any leads from it. And you're like, this isn't sustainable. And you
Yeah.
quit. It's like, no, get in here, record 10 episodes, make them ugly, put them out there and see if people like what you are doing. Get the data, do 10 more, optimize it. Oh, okay, now we're doing stuff. Okay, great. Now, let's move this into a studio. Let's invest in this stuff. So I just think from a speed to execution thing, I'm working with an ads agency, my friend Kurt Molly, and I know he works with a few other companies, and it's like the ones that are where the client is the pickiest about it's my face, it's my name, it's my brand, it's my whatever, and I don't like this content that you're using to test. It's like 2.6 people saw that content. That's how many people saw this. So we're
Yeah.
testing messaging. When it matters, we will make sure that it's really, exactly what you want. But when you're in testing mode, when you're in growth and learning, you really have to let go of the aesthetic. Nobody looks at a perfectly crafted Instagram timeline anymore. It's just, I mean, I still appreciate one, but I live here, I work here. This is my job. I don't even know if anybody goes to timelines, and stuff anymore. So yeah, to your point, definitely execution over aesthetics. To your point, was also authority. So what you have to say and what you have to teach and what you have to share, aesthetics do matter, but they matter less than that depth and that quality of what you are talking about. So when it comes to aesthetics, I think it slows people down. And I think they focus, like you're saying, too much on that versus the substance of what you're teaching. So
Right.
knock it
And to
off.
add, absolutely. And to add to that, like if you have been like doing this thing for a while and you have that authority and people know that you are an authority and a voice in that industry, there is a shift on how people are using social media now and where they're also using social search with answer
Yes.
engine optimization. And our behavior is we just go on TikTok to like search recipes or, the other day I was searching Instagram, I was using Instagram to search like this American Idol like person to look at who they are and whatever and YouTube how to videos, if there's something we can't figure out we just go on YouTube how to add another plugin on WordPress, like and that's how we find content now. And so I think that that's another way to be optimistic about creating depth, creating authority on social media because every piece really matters. And like you said, we don't need to obsess about it being perfect, but if it sends the right message about our brand, then that's good enough. Just collect the data, like what
You're
you said.
hitting on such a key point, which is that authority content also is searchable and
Right.
discoverable, right? There's two ways that your content gets found. It's via search and via browsing. And so, or AKA recommendations, right? So like even when you create this meaty, depthy, long form, this long form stuff that we're talking about, where you're focused on credibility, authority, really teaching, nurturing, engagement, all this stuff that is kind of like the antithesis of quote unquote going viral. I'm not saying you don't need viral content, just a reminder.
Yeah.
But that is searchable content. That will be found either when someone is intently looking for it using search or by recommendation because they follow somebody else. The algorithm will recommend your content because you have to give the algorithm, it has to understand and be able to know who to show your content to and who other people on the graph of other creators who you're like, so that they'll see it. Like for instance, if you follow Carla, the likelihood that you will then see my content at some point in the future as a recommendation, if I do all of these things correctly, will happen. Why? Because if you follow Carla and you like Carla, the algorithm should know that then you will probably certain group of Carla's followers will also like me and vice versa, right? Like there are some of my followers who might not know. I'm just kidding. But you know what I'm saying? Like so you have to think about those two things when you're creating content. And that's why authority content matters and this like depth of content matters that we've been talking about, is because you need to be able to feed enough words, enough topic, enough depth really. I don't mean to be like repetitive with my words, but to the algorithm so that it knows who you are and what your content topics are about. So it knows who to feed them to, it knows how to show up in search, and it knows who to tie you to that's also a creator so that it can recommend your content. Which, by the way, on YouTube, actually the recommendation, or AKA browse on YouTube, right, you guys, is actually the primary way that content is discovered on YouTube. Intent, which is crazy because everyone has heard the thing that YouTube is the second largest search engine on the internet after Google, which is true. And so you would always create your content around search, like Carla's saying, I'm looking for a recipe, I'm looking for something. But interestingly enough, in recent years, thank you, TikTok really has changed, where all the platforms are trying to figure out how to be a discovery
Right.
platform.
Right.
And in order to
Exactly.
do
Yeah.
that, right, they have to recommend content to people. So this is the home feed. This is when you're scrolling, you're playing a little doom scroll roulette. You don't know who's going to show up next, but the algorithm has
Yeah.
done this very high level calculations on Meta. It's called edge rank, on like thousands of factors that give every piece of content an edge rank. And what's coming up next for you is what it has predicted is something that you would like to watch. So you have to give it enough data to know where to put you and that it should be showing you and where it should be showing you and all that. So yeah, if you're a one-trick pony on this virality stuff, then and you're not building authority and credibility and doing the depth and all that, then you're not giving those are the signals that you're giving it. You're not giving it the, hey, if somebody's on LinkedIn and they're searching for content around whatever they're searching, building a brand or building a business or blah blah blah, like, hey, by the way, show my content when people are looking for that on LinkedIn, because you're just constantly doing like clickbaity engagement stuff, then that's kind of like, that's on you. So
Yeah.
yeah.
The algorithm knows, guys. And so to close that all idea off, that is the reason why you see your ex and your ex's ex and your boyfriend's ex in the people you may know. It's because y'all have the same type, which
You're
is your
all in the
current
same
boyfriend,
social
right?
graph, really. Yeah, exactly. And you're all posting about each other. And when you do your
May
vague
have
booking, when you
Yeah,
do
and
your
they may
vague
have
booking,
searched you actually recently on social media. If you see your boyfriend's ex on people you may know, very likely they've looked you up. And now the algorithm thinks, oh, you may know this girl because they searched you. But no, they don't. They were just stalking you. So, all right. Well, I think that was a lot of media discussion about social media. If you guys want to check out Kate's courses and certification Social Media Pro, I will share them in the show notes. And of course, Kate, how can people find you? How can people follow the best of Kate Buck Jr.?
well, definitely click through from Carla's link over to Social Media Pro. It's probably in the description of the show notes, like she said, or somewhere around this video. And then if not, I'm Kate Buck Jr. on any channel. And interestingly enough, I'm the only one on planet Earth. So if you
That
just look
name.
for Kate Buck Jr. with that name, yeah, exactly. There are other Kate Bucks, I think, but not a Kate Buck Jr. So you'll find me on all the platforms, Kate Buck Jr.
All right. Thank you so much, Kate, and happy Social Media Day.
Happy Social Media Day, Carla. Thanks for doing this. And thanks everybody for watching.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye bye.